Hi, good morning, everyone. So, yesterday was a wonderful day actually with a lot of learnings, and the industry leaders across different verticals, they spoke a lot about digital transformation which is happening, practical challenges associated with digital transformation. So what I'm going to cover today is basically what are the key parts actually for the digital transformation, because when we talk about digital transformation, data is actually the centerpiece. How effectively the organizations manage the data and leverage data for the growth actually makes the difference, real difference. So what I'm going to talk today is basically key challenges associated with data management when it comes to digital transformation. How some of the leaders across the globe are actually building on these challenges, very effectively handling these challenges for creating a very unique proposition for their customers. So what I'm really looking forward to is discussing few use cases from the industry side, how they are actually building on these capabilities. So I'll just give you a very brief intro about PingCAP, because many of you may not be really aware of what PingCAP is. So we are a global startup, and in fact very recently we started this business in India a few months back, and we are really getting good traction. But what I really wanted to highlight as a global startup, what we are doing is actually a continuous focus, or basically what I'll say, the product innovation which is happening within PingCAP. Close to 600 plus employees we have, 50% plus employees are currently part of our research and development. So that is basically the innovation which is happening, and that is what we expect, that at what speed really this is going to grow. The second is our investors' confidence. So our investors have repeatedly invested in PingCAP in the last 4+ years. We had 5 rounds of funding, and currently it's a unicorn, global unicorn, valued at $3.5 billion. We are spread across the globe, and we have 9+ sales offices. We have been working very closely with the digital as well as the enterprise businesses across the globe. So few of these logos are actually the testimonials. So you can see very familiar logos from India as well as also from the global markets. So what I really wanted to highlight is actually the different verticals from which these customers come actually. So we are battle tested as a platform across different verticals, be it retail, be it financial technologies, be it the traditional banks or the enterprises, the telecom companies. So data is actually the centerpiece. I'll be talking about few customers in more detail as we go forward, but currently we have 2,000 plus customers in production who are using our product called as TiDB. So just quickly coming back to the key challenges, what we foresee actually. So you see that there are 2 axes on which the challenges are actually coming up practically in the business environment. The data volume is actually going up, and it's going up exponentially. And the second is the latency or the query part. So how quickly we can leverage this data, how quickly we can bring that data into decision making, that really creates a differentiator. So traditionally, if you look at the data environment, on the extreme left, you see the traditional systems, and these are the single node databases. So for all your low latency requirement, this is quite good enough. This is proven actually for real-time response, for real-time analytics. Okay. On the other side, you have those huge data lakes or data warehouses which go into petabyte kind of scale. Okay. But what actually is the gap in between is the low latency databases cannot handle the scale, the volume. The highly scalable data warehouses cannot provide the low latency response. So there is a void in between. And this is actually the space where a lot of innovation is practically happening when it comes to customer experience, when it comes to internal process management, because the businesses are really trying to create near real-time insights, and that's actually precisely falling into this space, wherein the businesses are looking at highly scalable data, the volumes are growing up exponentially, and the latencies are actually squeezing up. So from the challenges perspective, we see that there are three key challenges. One is the scale, the second is the real time, and the most critical piece which actually supports the innovation is sitting in between, that is data agility and adaptability. So how quickly your data environment can adapt to the changing business requirement, right? So when actually you have an application running in production, and when there are changes in the business rule, there are changes in the business environment, how quickly you can bring that change from the application change perspective, you can roll it out in production, right? So these are the challenges which we foresee. Now, if I'm talking about the key attributes when the businesses are looking at from the digital transformation perspective, so these are the 6 key challenges which we foresee in the market. Now, if you see actually, I mean, most of these things we have been talking for a long time, whether it's ease of scaling or whether it's actually the reducing the impact of data silos. Okay, what actually creates a difference is how effectively you manage this from the technology change perspective. So this has been a requirement from the business side for ages when it comes to application development, but the businesses are creating a differentiator in terms of managing these changes by right technology adoption. So now I'll just come back to our core product, that is TiDB. We started as an open source product way back in 2015. We spent initial 3 years in hardcore product development, and now currently this is one of the most popular open source project in the community. So if you visit GitHub, then we are ranked at number 6, and I mean that's the kind of innovation and the user attractions which we are getting from the industry. We have multiple contributors who are actively contributing to TiDB. From the design perspective, these are the 3 key tenets on which we have designed TiDB as a platform after understanding the requirements from the business. One is the foremost, that is scalability. We spoke about that. The real-time analytics. Now, when it comes to real-time analytics, now a lot of people, including the thought leaders like Gartner, are talking about HTAP. Gartner, Forrester kind of people, they are talking about HTAP. That is hybrid transactional and analytical processing capability. Essentially, what it means is actually you squeeze the gap between creating the data and consuming the data. So you have a single platform which can support your transactions, and the same platform can also basically support your analytical requirement. So clubbing with that is the horizontal or the most important requirement, that is mission critical. So when you look at the single node databases, these are not really known for mission critical kind of business application. So that's where TiDB is actually a horizontally architected database. It gives you the mission critical or high availability kind of capabilities, okay, at the scale and at real time. I'll just quickly talk about the high level architecture. If you look at the architecture, this is actually how it looks like. So on the extreme left, you have TiDB, which is a compute layer. So fundamentally what we have done is we have separated the compute and the storage layer. Okay. So the compute layer understands the SQL query. It brings the SQL query in. We have the housekeeping agent, which is the PD cluster. So that's basically the master brain which decides where to write the data and where to read the data from. And then we have the storage layer called as TiKV. That's basically the key value pair. Okay. It doesn't basically do the high level compute. It basically stores the data. Whenever you get the query from your application side, either for writing the data or for reading the data, the query is basically directed to the PD. The PD decides where to write the data and where to read the data from. Now TiKV as a storage layer maintains the data in the horizontal or basically in the row format. Okay, that's where it's write optimized. Then basically just below that you can see TiFlash. TiFlash is actually the vertical data organization. It maintains the data in the columnar format. So the base part of this architecture is when you are actually pumping in the data, when you are acquiring the transactions in your transaction database, at the same time you can query those transactions. You can create operational insights. And those kind of queries are redirected to TiFlash layer, okay, which maintains the data in columnar format. So you can basically run your low weight, high scoring algorithms basically, and the analytical models on top of that. I'm not going to discuss too much in detail about the architecture. Maybe one-on-one we can discuss this later. But fundamentally, the key differentiator here is we basically remove the data silos. We maintain a single environment wherein you maintain the data in low row format as well as in column format. Okay? So that basically removes the very costly ETL process, the inconsistencies associated with ETL process, and make sure that you have data available in near real time at scale. So we did speak about three fundamental challenges, that is scale, how businesses are really looking at near real time kind of insights, and the availability part of it. So I just wanted to touch upon how the leaders across different verticals are actually trying to build their business ecosystem from the transformation perspective, how really they are building their data stack, what kind of challenges they are handling. So maybe I'll talk in brief about few customers. So we have a leading marketplace in India, and this marketplace is handling the data at a huge scale, at humongous scale. So what are the challenges actually? There are multiple applications. They have multiple retail formats, okay? There are multiple categories, okay? And it's quietly a huge spectrum of applications which are built over a period of time. So there are 400 plus applications, there are close to 600 plus clusters, right? And these very complex environments need scale, need real-time insights, need availability. So these are the key drivers particularly. Now for each set of applications, there is a different set of requirement. But fundamentally, if you look at their scale, then the largest cluster is close to around 30 plus terabyte kind of, which is growing really with a high volume. They have 40 plus pods in the largest cluster, right? Some of these applications need near real-time kind of insights, because being a marketplace, they also have logistics kind of scenarios which are running. They also have wallet application which is running, which requires near real-time kind of credit, debit, and reporting on the wallet system. We also have a logistics company called as Ninja Van, which is the leading e-commerce logistics player. So they are trying to handle, in fact, you can just look at the query volume, you can just look at the complexity, right? Also Square, which is the leading wallet in North America. So they are currently running 2.5 million plus queries per second actually on TiDB. So that's the kind of scale which they are looking at. We also have a customer in India, which is a very well-known name in the logistics vertical, which is an e-commerce supporting logistics player. And what they are doing is actually they are managing their parcel lifecycle management on TiDB. So this requires close to around 20K QPS kind of write throughput and a very high near real-time read capability for the parcel lifecycle management. So I'm just trying to highlight few use cases across different verticals, like PayPay, which is a Paytm group company. Now PayPay is one of the largest wallet in Japan, and the kind of scale which they were looking at was basically they wanted to adopt a system which or a data platform which can basically handle the write throughput at a very high, in a very highly available environment. You'll be also surprised to see Databricks actually. This is one of our largest customer, but Databricks is currently using TiDB as the underlying database for their own business system. In fact, Renaud, who's the founder member of Databricks, he has been very vocal, and this has been a very close partnership between TiDB and Databricks. Now, if I just want to highlight some near real-time kind of analytics scenario, then Streak, which is actually a CRM application in North America and other regions. So it's actually a Google Chrome extension, and what they do actually is they scan your entire emails, Gmail. It sits on top of your Gmail. It scans the mails coming into your email box. This is a huge volume, okay? So again, there is a security implication because you cannot allow to scan each and every email which is sitting in your email box, because there are password requests, reset requests, there is confidential information. So what you really need to do is actually tag those emails with the headers which are very important and handle, basically owns the customer data, which can be brought into the CRM. So what Strict does is actually they tag it with a metadata depending on the header. And just this kind of metadata is itself is a huge data. This is 35 terabyte kind of data which they need to continuously scan, keep on updating in near real time, and bring it actually into their CRM environment for each and every user. In fact, Uber kind of customers are currently using Strict. So at that scale, they want to basically provide insights, information to their end customers. So they really need a near real-time kind of analytics. 𝐶𝐄𝐝 Express, one of the world's largest logistics and parcel management company. In their traditional environment, they had basically a long cycle analytical environment. It was T+1 kind of environment. So from T+1 to bring it down to near real-time kind of analytical environment at this scale, wherein 1.4 billion and you are pumping in events at that scale, itself was a huge challenge in terms of architecturally building it up. Okay, so now currently they are doing near real-time analytics running on top of TiDB. So this basically sums up the use cases which I spoke about across different verticals. But essentially what we are bringing to the table is a proven platform, a battle-tested platform, which is really proven to work during your digital transformation journey, provide you the scale, provide you near real-time insights in a very mission-critical environment. So that's basically a very high-level thing. I'll be happy to discuss in more detail. I'll also request you to visit our website for a free trial on TiDB. Currently, we are available on the hyperscaler as a managed platform. We are also available in the hybrid environment. Okay, so that's it. In fact, I have some time. Maybe if any one of you has any question, then I can have a quick. We have some time.
We can take a question, right?
Hi, thank you very much for the good insights and it was good to understand your business model. When it comes to the business integration with technologies, upcoming technologies like BigChainDB and your TiDB, so how can we relate this?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question actually. So because when you talk about data, integration is a fundamental need for any data environment. Okay. So as I said, in fact, though the storage level is actually the key value pair, we maintain the data in basically NoSQL format, but the layer on top of that is a SQL layer, okay, which understands SQL, particularly MySQL, if you are on 5.7 or something like that. So it does support typical ODBC, JDBC kind of connectivity. So on one side, from the source system side, you have your typical request coming from ODBC, JDBC, MySQL protocol. The data environment basically natively understands that. From the data usage perspective, when you have basically the downstream applications which are trying to use this data, the transaction data, then we also have something called as TiSpark. Actually, TiSpark is a hook which is created on the storage layer, which basically forks out the data and moves into your Spark environment, which is available for your deeper analytics. So what we are saying is we are not a replacement for the data warehouses on the other side, or the very low latency databases on the extreme left, or which requires real-time kind of transactions. Okay, we are sitting in between, which requires high throughput, near real-time kind of capability. Yeah, and we support the open protocols actually, just as I mentioned.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
So that was